Good day, good people. We are here to talk about PHP variables. In this second tutorial, I will tell you some basics about PHP variables and also how to use them, and we will learn what operators are. We will learn what coercion is. So let's dive right into it, folks. Okay, remember to start your local server. I did that here, starting Apache. Already running. What a coincidence, because I was prepared for this video. We'll start with variables. Remember last time when we echoed out a hello world. That is the first thing that everybody does when learning how to program. And when we did that, we had the echo, well, the text, the string hello world. But we did not assign hello world to a variable. All right? The advantage of having a variable is that you can use it later, you can manipulate it, you can change it, and you can do whatever you like with it. Because now, if I keep coding, and later on I would want to echo out hello world again, I need to write echo hello world again. Alright? And that's not very handy. So what can I do here? I can assign the string hello world to a variable. So how do I do that? How do I declare a variable and assign a value to it? Well, that's easy. We start with a $sign, okay? That's the first thing you do. Every variable in PHP starts with a $sign. Then you can put any letter from A to Z, capital or lowercase, but just keep in mind that that it's case sensitive. So whenever you refer to variable, it's case sensitive. And then you can take underscores to and numbers. So that would be a valid variable. All right, we'll just check that out. We assign it to the variable test. Then we echo out this variable and we see it says test. If we start with a number, that will not work. This is not a valid variable, okay? Just to show you that this doesn't work, it gives me a typo, unexpected 4, which is this. So you can use numbers, but not in the beginning. You have to start with a letter or with a lowercase. Here we go. Then, well, variables are assigned by value. That's what we did here. We assigned a value to this variable. And now there's different data types. We have to talk about a concept called PHP type juggling. Type juggling basically means that PHP does not require an explicit type definition in a variable declaration. The type is defined in the context in which it is used. Because here I did not tell PHP that I want the variable to be a string. I just assigned a string to it and it automatically gets that I want to have a string. Okay? I will show you, because there is a function for this called the getType function. And if I echo out the getType function, I get string. Okay, so it tells me what kind or what type the variable, in this case A90, is. Okay, let's make that a little more clear. A string. Well, no, let's not call it a string, because then you might think that that has an influence. Let's just call it test var for a test variable. All right, we'll leave that empty and make a comment here. This is a string. Next variable will be test var2, and we assign number 2 to it. And this semicolon, always think of the semicolon in the end of any line. And this is an integer. Integers are full numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even -1, -2, -3. Okay, whole numbers are integers. To prove that, test var2 integer. Okay? This is, remember, the concept of type juggling, that it automatically gets the type definition of the variable. We'll see later why that is important. Then test var 3 will be 2.5. So some might think, yeah, well, that's an integer too. No, like I said, integers are whole numbers. This is what we call a double. Okay, so any floating number, you can also call it float. In C++, there's a difference, but it's just a difference in how big this number can be. All right, so you might also call it a float, because in PHP it does make a difference. In other languages it does. So it's a double. Okay, and then of course one more primitive variable that we use, those are all primitive variables, is a boolean. A boolean can be either true or false. Those are the only two values that it can have, true or false. One more thing that I have to say about this operator here. Some might read this as is equal to. So you might, because you know it from math, you might read that as test var 2 equals 2, and this is not correct. Okay, it's important because in some cases this kind of reading it might confuse you. So I highly recommend that you read this as test var gets assigned to test, or gets the value test. Okay, because there's also 2 equal signs and 3 equal signs, which mean different things. So don't call it equal, say test var gets the value test. And then with this saying out loud, it will not confuse you in the later future. All right. Now I have an exercise for you. Sorry. It's important that you practice what I tell you, and that you don't just watch the video and think you understood it, because it's very important, and I learned that the hard way in my programming career, is that you actually do the exercises, that you do the things, and if you don't understand it right away, that's even better, because then you know it works. All right, create a variable, assign a number to it. You can choose an integer or a double, it doesn't matter. Okay, then echo it out if you want, that's optional. Then you create another variable and assign a number to it, but as a string. So what I mean is like that. It's a 2, but it's still a string because of those 2 marks here. Okay, just to prove that I'm right, it's still a string. Okay, so create one variable and assign a number to it, create another one and assign it as a string, and then to try to echo out the addition of both these variables and see what happens, and also guess what will happen if we do that. So pause the video for some seconds, try to type that out, and I see you in a minute. All right, I will just try and use the variables that we already have here. So test var, correct here, programmers are lazy. Test var 1 plus test var 2. What do you think is going to happen if I try with this plus operator and I try to echo out the sum of a string and an integer? Surprise, it's a 4. This is what we call coercion. Coercion basically just means converting from one data type to another. What happened here? Well, usually this is a string, this is an integer. So normally it would not be possible to add those two together into one data type, because what comes out here is an integer. So there is no string left. And this is coercion. PHP automatically saw that I wanted to use this string as an integer, so it coerced it to an integer, and then I could make this addition of the two variables. All right. Okay, people, that's it for the second tutorial. We learned how to assign a value to a variable. We learned what data type juggling is in PHP. We made an exercise, and we learned already something about coercion, which is normally a little more advanced, but I found it to be important in this context. I hope you liked this video. I hope it brought you some value, and I see you in the next tutorial.